All right, so here we are in section 5.2. On Friday, we talked about the word problems that go along with these types of problems. And I left you kind of on a cliffhanger with one that was really hard to graph. And we talked about how graphing isn't the greatest way that you can solve these equations. Well, lucky for us, we have algebraic methods for doing so. You need to write these steps down in your notes. Pause the video right now. If you need to, get that written down. We're going to move on. So like I was saying, there are algebraic ways that you can solve an equation, or that you can come up with the solution to the system of the equation. If you need a refresher on that, go watch the videos from last week. But basically, you're trying to find the point where these two cross, and we're not going to graph them. Okay? What we're going to do instead is we're going to do substitution. So the first thing that we need is we need a variable by itself. Get one of the variables by itself. So, lucky for us, this one already has the variable by itself. Y equals this. Substitution. You've substituted before. If I tell you y equals 3, you put 3 in for y. Well, here's the deal. I'm going to take what y equals this entire thing, and I'm going to put it in to the other equation for y. The whole expression gets put in. Well, what does that look like? Well, the 6x didn't get moved. The 5 didn't get substituted. Only the y comes out. I substitute right here for this y, and I put in what is y is equal to, the entire expression. If y equals all of this, then I replace y with all of it. None of the rest of the equation changes when we do this. Now, it's a simple matter of algebra. Solve the equation. I see a number in front of parentheses. I need to distribute. So I've got 6x. Watch your signs here. That's 10x. Watch your signs. That's positive 45 equals negative 19. Algebra skills. I've got like terms. Combine like terms. Subtract 45. Negative 19 minus 45, I believe that comes out to be negative 64. Divide x is negative 4. So that tells me the x coordinate of my system, the solution to my system. That tells me where these two lines are going to cross. But remember what we're doing here. We're finding a solution to a system. I could graph these. I need a coordinate, x comma y. Got to have both, all right? So what we do here, take this, go back up to that original equation, and we substitute again. So the original equation was y equals negative 2x minus 9. I put 4, sorry, that's a negative 4, typo. I put negative 4 in there. Positive 8 minus 9, y equals negative 1. So my answer is x comma y, negative 4, negative 1. That is where the two lines would cross if we would graph them. But we don't have to mess with the graph. This would be an ugly graph anyway. Okay, we could graph that, and we couldn't graph that. Those are ugly intercepts. That would be a lot of hard work. This is work, don't get me wrong, but it's a lot easier than graphing and trying to see that exact point. So, I need a variable by itself. I do substitution. Take what that variable is equal to, put it into the other equation, and then it's a matter of solving the equation. You've solved hundreds of equations. Distribution, combine like terms, get the variable by itself. Let's do it again. So, number one, gonna look a little bit different. I've got y equals this and y equals this. Which one do I substitute? It doesn't matter. Okay? So I'm going to take the first one and replace into the second one. So I substitute 3x plus 14 in place of the y in the other equation. The rest of the equation doesn't change. The equal minus 4x doesn't change. Solve the equation. get the variables on the same side. So I got a constant here, I got variables here and here. Let's get this over here. Solve the equation. Boom. Good. Plug it back in. Don't forget to plug it back in. So I'm going to take this, plug it back in to do my second part, to find my second answer. So I've got y equals 3 times negative 2 plus 14. So the answer is negative 2, 8. X, comma, y every time. Making sure that's on the video. You can see that. Yeah, we're good. All right. So, again, substitute, solve. Substitute, solve. This one, variables on both sides. Okay. One previous had some distribution. Just solve the equation. All right. We'll do this one. We could. I want to get to those word problems. Let me get some. So here we go. Out of order. Who cares? I take the one where I know y equals. That's got to be your starting point. Get a variable by itself. Sometimes it'll start there. Substitute, because it's y equals, I substitute for y. I substitute this equation in for y, into the other equation. Doesn't matter what order it is, I have a variable by itself. Okay? Just like the first one, I've got some distribution to do. It's 2 times 1/2. If you're not good with fractions, get out a calculator, do it right. It comes out to positive x. Watch your sign here. I shouldn't have to explain these steps to you. You know how to solve equations. Write it down, take your time, don't skip steps. What's happening here? Well, I'm dividing by 4. 2 divided by 4 is 1/2. It's just a number. It's a fraction. It's just a number. No big deal. So I take the 1/2. Nope. Take the 1/2, plug it back into the equation. So I've got y equals 1/2 times 1/2 minus 1. That's 1/4. If you're not good with fractions, use a calculator. Y is negative 3/4. 1/2 negative 3/4. This is why we don't want to use graphing anymore. That would be really hard to find on a graph. Really hard to find. To see in between lines exactly where things hit. All right. So I'll do this last one for you, just to show it's not always y that's by itself. Nobody said it had to be y. Here I have x equals 6y minus 7. So I'm going to substitute for x. We're not always substituting for y. Okay? If it's x equals, we substitute for x. So I've got 4, do my substitution. There we go. Solve the equation like normal. Whatever the steps are, you do. 24y. So that comes out to be positive 1. Finish the problem. Y is positive 1. I always need an x and a y for these problems. Go back up and drop it in here. The important thing to remember here, your answers are always written x comma y. It doesn't matter which order you get your answers. X is always first, y is always second. That's how you write coordinates. Make sure if you find y first, finish the problem, but you always write the x first in your coordinate. All right. So, what if I don't give you a variable by itself? What if I don't set you up here? Like this all started, I had 2y equals, I had a y equals, I had an x equals. Sometimes I'll give them to you. Sometimes you won't. So you got to do some work here. You got to get one of them by themselves. Looking here, I can get this y by itself pretty easy. If I just add x to both sides of the equation. Okay, now I have y equals x plus 3. Remember, they're not like terms. Okay, they can't be combined. We've done this a lot. Now, I have y equal to something. I can plug it in to the other equation. Do I have to do distribution here? No, there's no number in front. Okay, skip that step. Combine like terms. Subtract. Divide. And we're done, right? Nope. You have to have an x and y. Take this, plug it back in. Your answer is always x comma y, -1 comma 2. So if I don't start you with the variable by itself, pick one of the variables and get it by itself. Then you finish the problem just like we've been doing. Do our substitution, distribute if you have to. Do this one on your own. Pick one of the variables, get it by itself, and do the substitution. Pause the video right here, do the work, check it. I'm going to continue, and I'm going to put the work up here. Pause the video, do it yourself, and then check. All right, so you've unpaused the video. Which one are you going to choose? There's 4 variables, x, y, y. You pick the one that's easiest, the one that's got the least stuff. If there's one with no coefficient, pick that one. So I'm starting here to get this x by itself. That's where I'm starting. Add 2y. Now x is by itself. Why didn't I do y here? Well, because I'd have done a minus x, I would have had to divide by -2, and then I'd get in fractions, and it's just a mess. I don't want to mess with that. I want to do the work that's easy for me. So find the variable that has the least amount of stuff with it, a positive y. You could do either one there. I could do that one. I got 3 options here. That would be the best option. That would be the only good option. I'd add x, y's by itself. Here, there's not a great option, because I'm going to have to divide by a -1 either way, okay? This is the only good option for number 7. Find the one that's easiest to get by itself, something that doesn't have a coefficient. If you have no options, you pick the one that's easiest, okay? I would subtract, I'd divide by -1. I can deal with that. I don't want to divide by -2. Ugly mess. Fractions. You don't like fractions. I know you don't. So, I got x by itself. Do the substitution into the other equation. Distribute. Solve. 4y, subtract, I get 6, 18. Is this going to be a fraction? Ugh. It's a fraction no matter what? Ugh. Nobody likes fractions. Anybody else right? Make it 4.5 for y. Alright, I'm double checking because just to make sure. Whenever I get a fraction too, I don't like them. Whenever I get a fraction, you just double check to see if you did everything right. Alright, I guess we did. That's a -18, I caught that. That's a -4.5. But, continue. Plug it back in. If I did something wrong, shoot me a message. I can't find it if I did. But there you go. Find the one that's easiest, get it by itself. Let's talk about word problems before we get out of here. So, again, read this and then zoom in so it's a little easier on you. But I can't write when I zoom in, so take a look. Drama Club earned $1,040 from production, 64 adult tickets, 132 student tickets. Adult ticket costs twice as much as a student ticket. Write a system. So, writing's the hard part here. Whenever you have something like this, they're talking about tickets or something like that, there's always two equations you can write. One is the number of tickets, one is money. Those are your two setups, okay? We have a money equation and we have a number of tickets equation. So we have 64 adult and 132 student. Okay, that's pretty easy. An adult ticket costs twice as much as a student ticket. Okay, there's an equation we have. And I know that there were 64 adult, 132 student, and I made $1,040. Let me see if this is on the screen there. Can you read that? Cool. So I've got substitution. A equals 2S. Substitute. $132 would be $264. I'm guessing that's 5. 4. Let me get a calculator. 450. What's that going to come up to be? You guys should have calculators with you. One of these days I'm going to learn to bring it up here with me. 1040 divided by 264. Something's wrong. Found it. Oops. See what happens when I get going too fast, right? 138S. I know you guys have been screaming at me. Sometimes I just, I'm standing up here, I can't see it. So add these two together and you get 260. So, sorry, 128. Sorry, type. 128, not 132. Add that together, you get 260, and then 1040 divided by 260 is $4. So I know the student cost is $4. Plug it back in. The adult is 8. So read the problem, write the equation. Adult is 2 times a student. 64 of these, 132 of these gives me 1,000. Do the substitution, solve, plug it back in. All right. Take your time, ask questions if you got them.